the channel. I'm back to break down this 9-game MLB DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Before we get into the breakdown, if you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss any future content that I upload. That would be greatly appreciated. I'll be here all MLB DFS season long, breaking down these MLB DFS slates to help you guys become better MLB DFS players. Hope you guys win some money night in and night out. We're going to be going over all sorts of different things like pitchers' K rates, hitters' ISO rates, ballpark factors, etc. All that good stuff, Vegas data, all tied into my videos. So if that sounds like something you like, hit that subscribe button. Do greatly appreciate it. On the fringe of 900, on the way to 1,000. That's the goal ASAP. So appreciate all the support that I've gotten so far. And don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my home run call of the day. Fan favorite segment on this channel. Been doing a pretty good job of that throughout the season, nailing those home run calls. So looking forward to that. And lastly, if you are interested in some further content from me, I do offer a premium package. It's linked below in the description. You get access to all the same tools that I use in building my own MLB DFS lineups. Things like my starting pitcher data sheet, hot hitter, Statcast data, splits leaderboard, team hitting data, bullpen data, my power rankings, and my cheat sheet. Check that out if interested. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down this slate today. So as always, I like to go ahead and start my sheet by K rate. It's fantasy sports. We get points for strikeouts. And the top guy on the slate today is going to be Mr. Brandon Woodruff taking on the Atlanta Braves. 30.4% K overall, 29.8% swing strike rate. 29% K rate against righties and a 30.8% K rate against lefties. Really good across the board as far as hard contact, slugging, and ground ball, fly ball stuff. All of the factors that we're looking into. Woodruff has been tremendous. Only problem he has is the matchup taking on this Atlanta Braves squad tonight and the weather. It's 90 degrees with 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to left center. Of course, that's less than ideal. We did see Corbin Burns go out there and struggle against this same Atlanta team last night. But with that being said, I think there's some bats that have been added to this lineup that could definitely increase the K rate of this lineup. You got Jock Peterson at the top. We have Jorge Soler at the bottom now. Adam Duvall, if all these newbies crack the lineup, Stephen Vogt. I do think there's quite a bit of strikeouts to be had, and I do think that Brandon Woodruff is a very high elite talent. I've been pretty much talking this guy up all year long. I just think he's the real deal. 8-9 Ks his last 2 times out, 3 earned runs, 1 earned runs. He's gone 5.2 in 7 innings pitched, but he's always topping 100 pitches, it seems, which is big as far as I'm concerned. If I'm paying up for a pitcher, I want him to have a very long leash as far as pitch count. I don't want these guys to get pulled after 80 pitches, so I think Brandon Woodruff kind of checks all the boxes there. Would be nicer if there was some better pitching weather, better pitching ballpark. But what are you going to do? Tristan McKenzie taking on the Chicago White Sox. 29.8% K overall, 12.8 swinging strike rate, 32.5% K rate against righties, and a 27.3% K rate against lefties. And the guy's definitely got some high K rate. The only problem is the ground ball, fly ball stuff. He's got a little bit of a slugging issue against righties and lefties. So he's kind of an all or nothing play. Taking on a Chicago White Sox team tonight that I think, that's probably the case. You're going to have to decide whether you're on the White Sox or whether you're on the Indians. I think I'll have a lot more clarification once I dig into the pitch data and all that fun stuff. But overall, looks like it's a high upside, high risk spot, and either the bats or the pitching is going to win. That's just the way these situations go, of course. So Tristan McKenzie, definitely a viable option. A little bit risky, but we have Aaron Nola taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're a team we've been targeting a lot. A 29% K overall, 13.1 swinging strike rate. 28.6% K rate against righties and a 29.6% K rate against lefties. Has been very, very effective, and this Pittsburgh Pirates team does not scare us. And then we factor in that it's not in Philadelphia, it's in Pittsburgh, which is a much better pitching environment. Pulling up the diagram here as far as PNC Park, you can see a lot of red and yellow going out there as far as home runs and triples, which of course is always very important for us. We don't want the pitcher to have to worry about giving up that long ball, very common in the league these days. So Aaron Nola at 11K on FanDuel and 9.7 on DraftKings is definitely a viable play tonight. Last time out, taking on the Atlanta Braves team of 9 Ks, 8.2 innings pitched, 116 pitches. He's been working very effectively, so I definitely like Aaron Nola. Good matchup for him. Another guy with a good matchup, Yu Darvish taking on the Colorado Rockies. It's 28.9% K overall, 12.8 swinging strike rate, 30.9% K rate against righties, and a 26.8% K rate against lefties. So we do prefer to target him against very right-handed heavy lineups if at all possible, but let's be honest, it's Colorado on the road. We're not really worried about them, and overall, I just think Darvish can have a tremendous outing here. They do have quite a few lefties in there. That's less than ideal. But as mentioned, the Rockies only have a 2.89 implied run total. They're on the road. Their offense is not good whatsoever, and Yu Darvish is an elite talent, so I definitely think that Yu Darvish, another tremendous option on the slate today, and one of many of these pitchers in good matchups, it seems, as we're discussing further along here. Kyle Muller, another good option, taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Another great matchup. 25.7% K overall, 13.9 swinging strike rate, 25.9% K rate against righties, and a 25% K rate against lefties. Has done a very good job eliminating the slugging. We're dealing with a 24 innings pitch sample size at this point. He's 9-3 on DraftKings. Only problem I have with Kyle Muller is his pitch count. We've seen him pitch anywhere from 102 to 75 pitches. Really no idea what the rhyme, reason, or method is in between it. So that's a little bit scary, but when you're looking at this Milwaukee Brewers team, they're definitely one we can target. And I'm interested to see his price tag on FanDuel. He's 7-2 on FanDuel, so a much friendlier price tag on FanDuel than DraftKings today. And for that reason, I think that he's much more viable on FanDuel. And these Milwaukee Brewers usually do have quite a few lefties in the lineup, but they have made a few acquisitions, a few changes where they can go pretty right-handed heavy here. Now they have Eduardo Escobar in the 3 spot as well. They got Avisail Garcia, Tyrone Taylor, Lorenzo Cain's back and healthy. So, but with that being said, I think Muller has a bunch of upside. The Brewers do have a 4.68 implied run total, maybe stack up against them as well, but I think a lot of that may have to do with the fact that the Atlanta Braves bullpen isn't the greatest. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with Muller's slugging numbers given up so far this season, so I'm not sure that I'm getting all too interested in targeting him. I mean, he does give up a lot of fly balls, but after weak fly balls, who really cares? Taylor Hearn taking on the Seattle Mariners. Their team we've been looking to target a bunch. The problem is Taylor Hearn really struggles against right-hand hitting, a 500 slugging, giving up only a 22.3% K rate. As far as his pitch count and how far he's expected to go into the game, he is a reliever, so max like 40 pitches or so, and then he'll turn it over to the Texas bullpen, which I'm not all too scared of. So I think the Seattle Mariners might be an interesting offense, which we'll get to when we get to bats. But we have Herman Marquez taking on the San Diego Padres. Guy that is a very good talent, but the problem is the matchup. The Padres really just don't strike out. He's a 24.9% K overall. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's good. Swinging strike rate stuff's good. Sure, he could go out there and have a good performance. No doubt in my mind, he has good enough talent to get there, but is it really necessary to be targeting him? We've talked about some guys in some better matchups. Not too sure that it is, so I'll probably avoid that. I mean, last time he took on San Diego, he had 9 Ks with 0 earned runs over 7 innings pitched. So, case in point, I guess right there, he can definitely get the job done, and it was in San Diego. So, if you want to go there for a contrarian play, I don't hate it, but the likelihood of the repeat performance like that, I don't think is the greatest. So, Bailey Ober is a guy I'm not really getting too excited to play. I mean, he actually... So here's the thing about Ober is he's really bad against lefties. He has a 28.7% K rate against righties, and he still gives up a lot of slugging, but the Cardinals are a very right-handed heavy lineup. So this is kind of this thing that I talk about with the Cardinals offense all the time, to be honest. Like, they're very right-handed heavy, so the second that you get them in a matchup where the guy's just really dominant against righties, it becomes pretty intriguing, and that's exactly the situation we're in right now. So typically the guy that I'll just bypass because he struggles against lefties. He has a hard time getting all the way through MLB lineups. But this might be a situation where he actually can. He's only 6'5" on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 7.3. And as far as his pitch count's concerned and everything, he's been topping out right around, like 80 pitches or so. But I think that may have to do more so with the fact that he just hasn't been that effective. Not too sure, but yeah. A little difficult targeting him, honestly. I don't know. I want to play him because I think no one's going to play him, and I think he has a high K rate. Maybe on a site like FanDuel, if you have a bunch of really expensive bats and you think you can get away with it, he may make some sense because in St. Louis, it's a great pitching ballpark. Maybe a possibility. Joe Ross taking on the Chicago Cubs, a team that was striking out a ton before all these trades. I think a team that's going to strike out a lot more without the core of their lineup in there. No Javi Baez, no Chris Bryant, no Anthony Rizzo no longer in this lineup. And whether that makes their strikeout rate better or less will be determined, but I tend to think this is the same Chicago Cubs team we've seen. As these guys get more at-bats, we're going to continue to see them strike out. And for that reason, I do think that Joe Ross is an interesting option. A guy that is a lot better against right-handed hitting for sure. He does have his struggles against left-handed hitting, but he also does have a pretty high K rate against lefties. So going to be an interesting spot here for sure, and I definitely think that you can target Joe Ross tonight. He's 7.4 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 8.1. So friendly price tag on FanDuel, but overall, I think you can go both places. I mean, the guy had 11 Ks with 3 earned runs against the Los Angeles Dodgers a few times ago. He's been putting up really good performances against pretty good teams. So I think that Joe Ross was actually an intriguing play here. As mentioned, watered down lineup. The only bad thing is it's in Washington Nationals Park. That's not the best ideal ballpark to be pitching in, and it's 82 degrees with 5-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. So it's not the most ideal weather either. But when you're paying down for a guy, you might have to deal with that a little bit. JT Brubaker taking on the Philadelphia Phillies, another team that's been striking out a lot. 24.2% K overall, 12.5 swinging strike rate, 25.3% K rate against righties, and a 22.9% K rate against lefties. He really doesn't have the best stuff in the world, but enough stuff to get the job done, specifically against very right-handed heavy lineups. And it's in PNC Park. So I think that he's a guy that maybe if you're looking to, these Phillies do have quite a few lefties. But I think the strikeout's going to be there. He'll be low-owned and, an intriguing option there. And then once we get past him, I'm honestly really not interested in any of these other options. I guess you could make an argument for Rich Hill taking on Cincinnati. I tend to think Cincinnati is a team that's designed to hit left-handed pitching very well overall, and I just don't really like targeting them, and I just really don't like playing Rich Hill, to be honest. But I guess he is in Citi Field, now a member of the New York Mets. It is a good pitching environment if you want to go there. He is really, really cheap on FanDuel. He's only 6'2". On DraftKings, he's only 6'7". So I guess, with the price tag involved, maybe the Mets give him a little bit of a longer leash than we saw him have in Minnesota, and maybe that could be intriguing, or in Tampa Bay. So yeah, we'll see. I'm not getting too excited about it. Just one last option that I wanted to mention there. You have Tyler Anderson taking on Texas, who could also maybe be an interesting option. Texas has been striking out a bunch, but that's enough rambling about pitching. Let's go ahead and transition over to bats. As always, let's go ahead and sort my sheet by Sierra, skill and active ERA, worst to best, because it's a very good way of determining how good a pitcher's been so far in the season and how good he's expected to be in the future. And we have John Lester taking on the Minnesota Twins. His ground ball, fly ball stuff has been terrible. He's given up a .552 slugging to righties with a .395 WOBA, only a 13.9% K rate, and the Minnesota Twins have been one of the best teams against left-handed pitching all season long. Then St. Louis, as I mentioned, a little less than ideal ballpark. Pulling up the diagram here for you guys. As far as St. Louis is concerned, a lot of red and yellow going on up there as far as Busch Stadium. And for that reason, I really don't like targeting bats here. So, a little bit of a disclaimer there. But this lineup's just really designed to hit left-handed pitching well with guys like Brent Rooker, Jorge Polanco, Josh Donaldson, Mitch Garver, and Miguel Sano. Unfortunately, there is no Nelson Cruz in there now, which is a big hit. So, that's less than ideal. But Minnesota is a viable stack. Just keep in mind there are some limitations on the ballpark and things that I went over there. Dallas Keuchel taking on the Cleveland Indians, a guy that's a sinker ball thrower, really, really good at keeping the ball on the ground. He does give up a .429 slugging to righties, a .484 slugging to lefties, but I honestly just don't like stacking against this guy because he just does such a good job keeping the ball on the ground. We need home runs in our FanDuel and DraftKings lineups. So for that reason, I'm not really getting all that intrigued. And then the Cleveland Indians lineup just kind of isn't the best. They're starting to get better, I will say, specifically against left-handed pitching. Like, that lineup does look a lot more solid. They have Miles Straw at the top now, Anwar Rosario, Jose Ramirez, Fernando Reyes, Harold Ramirez, Oscar Mercado, Roberto Perez, like very right-handed heavy. Some names in there that I've definitely targeted in years past. But overall, the lineup just really hasn't been performing all that well, so it's a little scary for me to be going there. It's viable. I think it's, it could be in my player pool as far as, the Cleveland stacks, but not the top of my list. Tristan McKenzie taking on the Chicago White Sox. We already talked about him. A lot of strikeouts, a lot of hard contact given up. So, ideally, it would make sense that you want to target hitters with low strikeout rates that can provide you with some power. Kind of, makes sense there. But overall, Tim Anderson, Cesar Hernandez, Jose Abreu, Gavin Sheets, Yohan Moncada, Andrew Vaughn, Brian Goodwin, Larry Garcia, Zach Collins. Very deep lineup. Definitely one I feel comfortable stacking 1 through 9, and definitely one I'll have interest in today. I'm not worried about that Cleveland Indians bullpen either. So, like the Chicago White Sox. Kyle Muller taking on Milwaukee. You'd already mentioned, Milwaukee Brewers do have a pretty high implied run total here. That might have something to do with the fact that they've been hot. But, Muller's done a pretty good job keeping the ball on the ground. I'm sorry, not the ball on the ground. Limiting hard contact. He has given up a lot of fly balls. So maybe this is when they finally get to him. It's only a 24 innings pitch sample size. Looking at his opponents that he's pitched against so far, if we can find him here. Muller, 9-3. Let's see. New York Mets, they're not really good against lefties. San Diego is very good against lefties. Only 1 earned run there. Miami's not the worst. They weren't the worst against lefties before they shipped everyone. Cincinnati has always been very good against lefties. He shut them down. Boston, his first performance, only 25 pitches in that one. So that's not really relevant. But, yeah, I don't think the Brewers are a terrible option. I don't know. Really good hitting weather. 4.68 implied run total. I'm going to have to really dig into Muller's pitch data is what it's going to come down to for me, as always. So, as I dig it out later in the day, for my Patreons, you'll see that reflected in my Power Rankings and my cheat sheet. Kyle Hendricks taking on the Washington Nationals. Ground ball, fly ball stuff really hasn't been good. A 438 slugging unit up to righties, a 531 slugging unit up to lefties. Has been absolutely dreadful against lefties. I mean, overall, he just really hasn't been good, but against lefties, we definitely like targeting him. The Washington Nationals do have two lefties that are going to be intriguing plays tonight in Juan Soto and Josh Bell. Going to be great plays. Also, they got Luis Garcia up there, Gerardo Parra, Andrew Stevenson. It's becoming a much left-handed heavier lineup than it was before some of these trades were made. You know, Trey Turner's gone now. And I definitely think I like the Washington stack today. Definitely, you know, that pops out the page to me for sure. So, gonna like me some Washington stacks. Rich Hill taking on the Cincinnati Reds. He's a guy that I'm really not too scared to target. The problem is the ballpark's not the greatest. A 432 slugging up the righties. Really like to target this guy with right-handed power, and the Cincinnati Reds I really like to target. Of course, you know, ballparks do matter, and it's in Citi Field. They only have a 4.12 implied run total. We did see Jonathan Indian hit 2 bombs last night. Kyle Farmer's been great. Tyler Stevenson absolutely rakes off lefties. Eugenio Suarez, Aristides Aquino. If you want to go there, sure. Just know they're going to have to really get into it. The ball's going to have to be smashed to get out of that ballpark. So Tyler Anderson taking on Texas. Really easy to sum up. Very good against lefties. Very bad against righties. A 491 slugging into righties. 341 WOBA. 42.3% fly ball rate. You know, just not going to get the job done. This ball game is being played in Texas, which is a great ballpark for hitting. And I do think that the Texas Rangers righties are going to be in play here. We have Kenner Fafel at the top, Eli White, Adolis Garcia going to be a great play tonight, Andy Ibanez, Curtis Terry, Charlie Culberson, a guy that really rakes against left-handed pitching, so he's going to be a sneaky play in the 8th spot. They only have a 3.52 implied run total, so let that tell you what it may. That's kind of bad against a guy that, you know, really struggles against righties, and they have a lot of righties in there, but let's be honest, Texas Rangers lineup's pretty watered down, so it kind of makes sense. Wade Miley taking on the New York Mets. He's a guy that we really haven't been looking to target all season long, honestly. He's been very effective. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's been good. The Mets have a low implied run total in that game. I'm not looking to target Wade Miley at all. Mitch White taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's a guy that definitely is very easy to read as far as his splits are concerned. Very good against righties. Against lefties is where it starts to dip off. A 444 slugging, giving up 50% hard contact rate. We're dealing with a 20 inning pitch sample size. This game's being played in Arizona, which is a ballpark I love targeting left-handed bats with. And maybe the Diamondbacks could be a little bit of a sneaky option tonight. I don't think Mitch White's going to go deep in the game, though, so just keep that in mind as far as his pitch count's concerned and all that stuff. He'll be more of an opener. He's maxed out at 65 pitches this year, so don't expect him to go all too deep into this game. Then they're going to switch it over to that Dodgers bullpen, which is pretty good. But being that's a bullpen game, we might see some of their worst arms come in, you know, earlier innings. So I think that the Diamondbacks stack could be an interesting lone one. Josh Van Meter, Asdrubal Cabrera, Cole Calhoun, Christian Walker, Carson Kelly, David Peralta, Nick Ahmed. Honestly, still a pretty solid lineup up and down for getting rid of Eduardo Escobar and such. So, you know, I don't hate the Diamondbacks stack, I don't think, as I'm talking along here. Taylor Hearn taking on the Seattle Mariners. Very easy to sum up. I had mentioned he really struggles against right-handed power. How deep he goes in this game, I do not know. But how long he's in this game is going to be tremendous options for the Seattle Mariners righties that match left-handed pitching. Mitch Haniger at the top of mind. Ty France, Luis Torrens absolutely rakes lefties. Tom Murphy absolutely rakes lefties. Dylan Moore absolutely rakes lefties. So, you know, unfortunately, it's going to be maybe some of these guys hit some home runs and he gets pulled early because you kind of hope he makes it through the lineup once to target some of these bats. They have a 4.48 implied run total. So I think the Mariners are a good stack today. They're definitely in a much better ballpark than they would be at home in Texas, so like that. Merrill Kelly taking on Los Angeles Dodgers. Did not mention him in the pitching section, and that's for good reason. A 500 slugging up to righties, 345 will be giving up. Slugging up to lefties. He actually has improved a lot this year. I mean, this is a guy that typically we're always talking about targeting. He really hasn't been that bad, which is just a little bit weird saying out loud. But yeah, I mean, the guy's priced up at 8.4 on DraftKings. So you wouldn't think that would happen. Last 2 times out, he has allowed 4 earned runs, 2 earned runs. Last time he faced the Dodgers, it was only 1 earned run. So, I mean, I definitely think he's taken some big strides this season. Definitely a guy we're looking to target with right-handed power more so than left-handed power, unfortunately, because, you know, I'd love to target both in this Dodgers lineup. But overall, the Dodgers are just really good. The Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen's terrible as well. I think the Dodgers have to be a good stack. I tend to think they're probably going to be popular. I mean, people still see Merrill Kelly's name, and they're not scared of him. And yeah, I don't blame them, but you have to recognize the guy's definitely been better. Chris Taylor, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, Corey Seager, Will Smith, AJ Pollock, Cody Bellinger, Billy McKinney, a nice mix of lefty-righties there. If you don't want to target those lefties and just target the righties, it's possible. So, Dodgers viable as always. They always are. That lineup's just loaded. Bailey Ober taking on St. Louis. We had mentioned his hard contact in terrible numbers against lefties. So, all these St. Louis Cardinals lefties are going to be played. The Minnesota bullpen is terrible. Unfortunately, the ballpark that St. Louis plays in is also pretty terrible. But, what are you going to say? Definitely got to like Dylan Carlson at the top of the order, Tommy Edman at the bottom of the order. That's the only lefties in the dang lineup, so that's a little unfortunate. But what can I say? Bad bullpen. If you want to target the Cardinals, sure. Not the best ballpark. Chicago Cubs taking on Joe Ross. He's very easy to sum up. You want to target him with left-handed power. So as far as the Chicago Cubs lineup and who they have for lefties now in this lineup, you are really looking at Rafael Ortega, Ian Happ, Jason Hayward, and that's about it. Sergio Alcantara at the bottom of there as well. He's actually shown some pop throughout the season. But not too many of lefties to target in that lineup tonight. JT Brubaker, a guy we mentioned maybe pitching against Philadelphia. You can definitely play some bats against him as well. A 478 slugging up to the righties, a 441 slugging up to the lefties. Not the best ballpark to be targeting these Phillies in, but I kind of have been waiting for them to have a breakout game. The Pittsburgh Pirates bullpen's been terrible, so if they can get to Brubaker early and then get him out of the game, I think they could have a big performance here. So up and down this lineup, I really think you could target 1 through 9. Very deep lineup. I like Odubel Herrera in the 8th spot. I think that's a great number 8 hitter. So the Philadelphia Phillies stack definitely looking good outside of ballpark factor to me. And that's about where my interest draws to an end. Yu Darvish and Aaron Nola have given up their fair share of hard contact to both sides of the plate for being good pitchers. A 413 slugging up to righties. Ground ball, fly ball stuff hasn't been the greatest for Darvish. Same rule for Nola. And then to lefties, the same thing kind of applies with both. The problem is they're taking on Colorado and Pittsburgh, which are lineups you really can't take advantage of that. I would say Colorado more so than Pittsburgh. If you want to go to them as low and stack, they do have a few guys that can get into a ball. Ryan Tapia, Brandon Rogers, Charlie Blackmon, Trevor Story, Ryan McMahon, CJ Crone, Sam Hilliard. There's at least some power in that lineup. Dom Nunez. If you want to go there as a sneaky stack, sure. I tend to think I'm going to be more on the Darvish side, but that's going to be a pitch data thing. So with that being said, that is my overall breakdown today. Before I let you guys go, as always, I got to give you my home run call of the day. Let's get into it. And my home run call of the day today is going to be Mitch Haniger taking on Taylor Hearn. We had mentioned his hard contact issues against righties. Absolutely dreadful. A 500 slugging unit for those righties with a 36% hard contact rate. 369 WOBA, a 40.9% ground ball rate. Not going to get the job done. We're breaking down his repertoire. Very, very reliant on the fastball. Looking at how he goes to that. On average, about a 95, 96 mile an hour fastball, and Mitch Haniger absolutely matches that pitch. He's going to be seeing it 56% of the time against Hearn with a 688 ISO and a 727 WOBA. Calling Mitch Haniger to go deep in his first at-bat tonight because I just absolutely love this matchup. Get him in your lineups because he is my home run call of the day. So there you have it, guys. Mitch Haniger, get him in your lineups. And that is all from me in this one. If you did enjoy the content, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That would be greatly appreciated. Wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.